Welcome to Strange Serenity, the podcast, where we explore the intersection of philosophy and creativity.
Yeah.
And today we're diving deep into the music and themes of A Perfect Circle.
Right.
It's a band that, according to our sources, balances raw emotion with incredible artistry.
Yes. They have this fascinating duality, almost like the yin to Tool's yang,
Hmm.
where Tool often delves into the aggressive and cerebral. A Perfect Circle feels more intimate, more emotionally driven, but no less thought-provoking.
Oh, interesting.
It's truly a distinct sound that Maynard James Keenan and Billy Howerdel created.
So let's break down what makes their sound so unique. The source material keeps using this word cinematic to describe it. What do they mean by that?
It's the way they layer these lush melodies over haunting undertones, creating an atmosphere that feels expansive and emotionally charged. Think about a movie score that draws you into a specific world or feeling.
Right.
A Perfect Circle does that with their music.
And Billy Howerdell's guitar work seems to be a big part of that. It's described as ethereal yet grounded, which sounds almost contradictory.
It is, and that's what makes it so captivating.
Yeah.
He uses a lot of delay and reverb effects to create this spacious, almost otherworldly sound, but then he'll ground it with these heavy riffs or these intricate, almost flamenco-inspired passages. It's a very dynamic style that creates a lot of texture and depth.
This Strange Serenity script also talks about how Maynard James Keenan uses his voice differently in A Perfect Circle compared to Tool. It mentions more vulnerability in melody.
Absolutely.
Okay.
In Tool, his vocals are often powerful and commanding, but in A Perfect Circle, there's this fragility and intimacy that really draws you in. It's almost like he's whispering secrets in your ear.
And speaking of secrets, let's dive into those lyrical themes.
Yeah.
Our source material describes them as explorations of love loss and the darker aspects of human psychology. It's pretty heavy stuff.
It is, and they don't shy away from it.
Yeah.
One of the things that makes A Perfect Circle's lyrics so compelling is their willingness to confront these difficult emotions head-on.
For instance, they specifically call out the album 13th Step as dealing with addiction recovery and self-destruction.
Right. That album is almost like a concept album that takes you through the various stages of addiction and recovery.
Okay.
There are songs like The Noose that deal with the feeling of being trapped while weak and powerless, explores the vulnerability and shame that come with addiction.
And then you have their debut album, Mer de Noms, which the Strange Serenity folks describe as a masterpiece of longing and emotional complexity.
Mer de Noms is definitely a more introspective album, filled with songs about yearning, heartbreak, and the search for meaning. You hear it in songs like Three Libras, which is about this aching desire for connection, and Judith, which grapples with issues of faith and pain.
It seems like A Perfect Circle isn't afraid to get really personal and specific with their lyrics.
That's right. The source material actually points out how the lyrics often feel deeply personal, yet open to multiple interpretations. Like you can relate to them on a gut level, but there's also this poetic ambiguity that makes you want to keep digging deeper.
Yeah, there's that confessions idea again.
Yeah.
But Maynard is also known for being pretty private. Do you think there's a tension there between revealing and concealing in the lyrics?
Definitely. That tension is part of what makes the music so compelling. You feel like you're getting a glimpse into his soul, but it's never a clear, complete picture.
Right.
He leaves space for the listener to bring their own experiences and interpretations to the music.
This Strange Serenity script also highlights that A Perfect Circle is very much a collaborative effort, especially between Maynard and Billy Howerdel. What does that collaboration actually look like in practice?
It's fascinating how their different backgrounds come together.
Yeah.
Billy has this technical expertise from his time as a sound engineer and guitar tech, so he brings this intricate layering and sonic depth to the music.
Yeah.
And then Maynard comes in with these powerful lyrics and vocal melodies that add an emotional weight to it all.
It's like they're two sides of the same coin balancing each other out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the source material actually praises the band's attention to detail in their production, focusing on clarity and emotional resonance. Every element seems carefully considered, from the instrumentation to the vocal delivery.
And it's not just about the music either. Their artistry seems to extend beyond the sound, incorporating visual elements like album covers and stage presence.
Absolutely. Think about the cover art for Mer de Noms. It's this stark, almost haunting image of a woman submerged in water.
I've seen that.
It perfectly captures the album's themes of longing and emotional depth.
And their stage presence is often described as minimalistic, but incredibly powerful. They don't rely on flashy theatrics. They let the music speak for itself.
Right. It's all about creating an atmosphere and experience for the listener. And they achieve that through a combination of sonic and visual elements.
So we've talked about their sound, their lyrics, their artistry. What is it about A Perfect Circle that makes them so special? Why do you think their music resonates so deeply with fans even after all these years?
One thing that the Strange Serenity folks emphasize is the band's willingness to embrace vulnerability and complexity.
Okay.
It's not surface-level music. It asks you to think, to feel, to confront those difficult emotions we often try to avoid.
And it's beautiful, too. It's like they're saying it's okay to feel these things, that there's beauty to be found even in the darkness.
Exactly. And that's a powerful message, especially in a world that often tells us to suppress our emotions, to put on a happy face. A Perfect Circle gives us permission to be human in all our messy glory.
They're not afraid to explore the shadows, and in doing so, they help us find the light.
And that's why their music stands the test of time. It's not about trends or genres. It's about the human experience, about those universal emotions we all share.
Speaking of sharing the source material, it makes a point about A Perfect Circle's music being something you really have to experience. It's more than just passive listening.
Right. It's an invitation to engage, to think critically, to feel deeply. It's music that demands your attention, and in return, it rewards you with insights and emotions that can be truly transformative.
I love that. It's like they're creating a space for us to confront ourselves, to wrestle with those big questions about life, death, meaning.
Exactly. And they don't offer easy answers. They're not preaching a particular ideology. They're simply inviting us to join them on the journey to explore those questions alongside them.
And that's what makes their music so powerful. It's not about telling you what to think, but about prompting you to think for yourself.
And to feel for yourself, their music is an emotional journey, and it's different for everyone. What resonates with one listener might not resonate with another, and that's okay.
It's about finding your own meaning in the music, making it your own.
Precisely. And that's the beauty of A Perfect Circle. It's music that allows for multiple interpretations, multiple perspectives. It's a mirror reflecting back at you whatever you bring to it.
So for someone who maybe has only heard a few A Perfect Circle songs here and there, what would you say is the key to unlocking the full experience of their music?
Yeah. I think the key is to approach it with an open mind and an open heart. Don't be afraid to lean into the discomfort, to let the music wash over you and see where it takes you.
That's great advice. It's about surrendering to the experience, letting the music guide you.
And don't be afraid to revisit their albums multiple times. You'll find new layers of meaning, new emotional nuances with each listen. It's a journey worth taking, and it's one that you can keep coming back to again and again.
So what does all this mean for someone listening right now? Why should they care about A Perfect Circle?
What's fascinating is that A Perfect Circle offers more than just background music. Their music invites you to really think, to engage on an emotional level. It's a challenge in the best way possible.
I love that. It's not just something to have on while you're doing the dishes. It's an experience.
Exactly, and that's part of what makes their impact so lasting. The music stays with you long after the song ends.
So for someone who's heard a few A Perfect Circle songs, but hasn't really explored their work, what's the one thing you'd want them to take away from this conversation?
I'd want them to realize that A Perfect Circle is more than just a band. It's a project, a vision, a way of exploring the human condition through sound and lyrics.
It's like they're weaving this sonic tapestry with threads of beauty and despair, vulnerability and strength.
Beautifully put. And that's what makes their music so timeless and relatable. It speaks to something deep within us all.
Well said. On that note, I think it's time to wrap up this deep dive into the world of A Perfect Circle.
It's been a pleasure exploring their music with you.
Likewise. And to our listeners, we leave you with this. As you go back and listen to A Perfect Circle, pay attention to those moments where beauty and despair collide. What emotions do those moments evoke in you? How do they make you feel? And what does that tell you about yourself? Until next time, stay serene,